Hi, Tubby again, continuing my conversation with Karen Shoemaker, one medium rare, and we had left off where Spirit told you you were leaving your hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, to go to Florida to do radio and other things with media. You met some, pretty famous people, but you also worked in drug addiction. So, Spirit was moving you to Florida to do its work, maybe, would you say?
I had turned my life, my will, my being over to what I call my God of my understanding. Okay? And I said, there go I, but through your grace. And the next thing I know, I'm being moved. Like I said, I took $65 in my clothes. I did a painting for my girlfriend. In exchange for that, she sent me an airline ticket to Florida. She told me I could stay at her place with her and her daughter. And I had met this girl because of doing a reading for her. And I told her that what she thought would be a boy would fool her on April Fool's. Well, that daughter was born April Fool's Day.
Wow.
Okay? So that came about. It happened. I told her that her husband's name at the time, and she did marry him. And I said, but you won't stay married with him. You will marry a second man named Alan, which she did do.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from a dark side of life to a very light side. So I'm getting all these impressions while I'm on the airplane heading south. And I'm laughing because I'd never flown in my life. So the airplane scared me. And it was like, oh, how do I handle this? And all of a sudden I heard the engine and I heard, So what do a lot of spiritual people do? They study the Hindu, they study the Om, okay? And they become very aware that this Om sound has power. So I'm sitting in the airplane, listening to the Om, and the next thing I know, the stewardesses are bringing me all kinds of stuff. Peanuts, chips, soda. I didn't ask for any of it. They're just bringing it. And it was like, okay, you're showing me that you hear me. Talking to the universal energy, the universal flow. So all of a sudden I know I'm going to be met at the airport by a limousine. And I can see the person, and I can see the black outfit and the tie and the whole 9 yards. Now, you got to remember, I'm a little woman from a box in Cincinnati, and I'm headed to a big city in Miami, which was not that far from South Beach. I get taken to South Beach after I get picked up in the white limo. So everything I was picking up on the plane, just that quick began to happen. I get to my girlfriend's, I don't really know what to say because I hadn't really seen her or talked to her in 13 years. Well, she did, was divorced. She was dating a man, and of all things, his name was Alan. So things just got louder, more clear. Well, then they found out that I could do past life regressions, that I could take people down into their past lives. So I wound up doing parties for that, for her, at her house. She literally cleared the entire house of the furniture and set it in the backyard so that we'd have room for everybody, because the first thing I did, there was over 100 people. And I know a lot of individuals know about channeling. I didn't know if I believed in channeling, never mind doing it myself. And I had seen something with Ram Dass, which created those questions in me. And so all these 100 people, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, okay, Lord of my understanding, I go through your grace, but how am I supposed to read 100 people?
Right.
That's a lot of people,
Mhm.
you know. So here's this little woman in a box that had all this darkness in her life is all of a sudden on center stage. And it was like, okay, well, I hope I do justice to the universe and to the people. So I'm sitting there and I'm very quiet and I hear the of the airplane again.
Mhm.
And as I'm hearing that, I kind of disappear out of myself and it's like, where'd I go? Well, they're filming this entire thing on video and I couldn't believe it. My voice changed, my mannerisms changed. It was no longer me in my body. I don't know who was in my body, but somebody was. And it knew everything about the people. And it went around the room one by one, 100 people, in a little over 3 hours. And when I finished and I came out of it, I was just beyond myself. I also knew that it would be very soon that I would meet the man I had been painting for like 3-4 years. Every time I painted him, it was like his spirit haunted me. And it was like, I don't understand this. I know he's sad. He's very sad. And I know I'm about to meet him. But I won't recognize him right away. And I'm thinking this to myself. Well, I'm in my own apartment by this time. I get this urge. I'm going to go to the slots. I'd never played slots, so I thought, well, why not? So I take $40 and I go down and I'm playing the slots and I walk out of there with over $25,000
Just by listening to an urge.
just by listening to an urge.
Because Spirit wanted to give you this gift. You listen. You allow the universal flow to work in your life.
And it began to change my life.
And would be the case with anybody. It's not because you just had
It
near-death
wasn't me
experiences.
because I'm somebody special. Okay, we're all special.
And this is something you like to teach us. Living on a wing and a prayer. Is that how?
That's how I word it. It's just trusting. And when you trust the universe will prove to you that it hears you. Things that you think about will all of a sudden begin manifesting in your life because you're not focused on it. You're not stopping it from flying out there. Okay? So when we don't focus on something and go, I really want to win a lot of money. Gee, I really want to win a lot of money. And you go and you don't, and then you get mad at the universe, yourself, whatever, but you still think to yourself, I want to win a lot of money. Well, how can you if you keep hanging on to it like that?
So what does hanging on to it do that makes it not come to you?
Because you're too focused. It's got no room to grow. It's got no room to go out there and manifest. It gets locked, okay?
Locked in the way you see it having to play out, the
Yeah,
circumstances around it.
It's difficult to describe, but I've watched it over and over and over with people, and I can't help but laugh nowadays because
I know, because we're going through this. It's true. Karen knows what she's talking about. As soon as I started listening to her and stopped holding on to these stories and beliefs, I was telling myself, and I knew in general what I wanted, but I didn't have to write the script. And
do you mind if I'm honest with them about you?
Okay.
Tommy is like most young women, very beautiful, very attractive, but no confidence in self. Okay? So, past stories, hardships with mom, hardships with guys, whatever, that became her story, and the story kept saying she wasn't good enough, wasn't smart enough, wasn't pretty enough, intelligent enough. So, when I bring her here, it's like, oh no, I ain't gonna go there with you.
And all I had asked for, I'm not even in the same state as Karen. I just said help, to the universe. I need help. And Karen, who I hadn't talked to in, a year, just reaches out to me out of the blue and invites me to come to her new home in Tennessee. And I said yes, because I was learning this, living on a wing and a prayer thing that Karen talks about and has, done with her own life. And the next day, I was on a plane to Tennessee, and it's been good.
It's been good, but it's also been a little nerve-wracking because Tavi knows I can hear a thought. So she'll be, walking around or doing something, I hear her thinking. So the next thing I know, I'm telling her later what I heard. So it gets a little hard being around me sometimes, but I have fun, and I try to help the person have fun. So her belief, I kept telling her, you watch, you just watch. You're going to have more men show up in your life than you know what to do with. So what's going on now?
They're coming.
They're
out
coming
of nowhere.
out of nowhere. Past, present, it doesn't matter. They're showing up. So that manifestation that you wanted, because you had all these other thoughts, it was blocked. It couldn't go anywhere. The universe only heard your negatives, not your positives. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it enacted on your negative thought, not your positive. And people don't realize they pray for something and then they negate it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I don't have it quick enough. I must have done something. Just with that thought, the universe says, oh, they don't think they're worthy enough.
I can't believe how much we get in our own way. I'm really learning that.
And it's actually a lot of fun as you go through life and you start to begin to see these things. Meeting your teachers is wonderful, having done that myself. But anyway, when I get to Florida, I'm doing these parties and all this. I win that $25,000. I wind up moving into my own place. Then it's not a month later, I wind up with another $27,000 thrown at me. So I had over 50 grand in my bank account.
You went from $65 to 50 grand.
Within a month.
A month? That's incredible. It does work that fast. Like what can, and we can talk about you again. I don't want to talk about me. But
no,
I can't believe how fast the manifesting happens if you step out of the way.
So this man that I kept painting and I kept seeing and I kept seeing blonde, brown hair, black hair, white hair, silver hair.
But the face was the same.
The face was the same. And the painting I did in 1989. Now I did not move to Florida till 1995. Okay, I wind up on radio maybe 4 or 5 months after I'm there. And I don't even think it was that long because I was on the radio when I won the money at the slots. So it had to be within that same month. But things moved so fast I couldn't keep up with it.
So do you think, just a little bit of fun, because we like signs, we like to look for signs. So, you're on the plane, leaving your small home, small life in Smallville, Ohio. You're going to Florida, and you see that you're going to be met by a limousine. Kind of leading into what you would be, how your life was going to change. And
I was met by the limousine, taken to the house, started doing parties for people, started meeting people from all over the globe because my girlfriend was a travel agent, and I did a lot of stuff for her through the travel agency as well. So here I was, where I'd always been in this safe little bubble, or so I thought, and my safe little bubble was nothing but heartache and pain.
Yeah.
Okay? So when I began to allow myself to expand, that's when my life shifted. And I had met, like I said, I met a Hindu teacher, I met a Tibetan teacher, I got to meet Papaji, and a lot of people have heard the name. But I'm talking about the Papaji that is no longer here. So I got to meet a lot of different people from different walks of life.
And Padre Pio, right?
I did a lot with Padre Pio, but not until I moved to Florida. That
And
was one of the men.
You were given his robe.
I was given Padre Pio's robe. I was told I was being anointed with the robe.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was anointed, I would know what to do with the robe. Well, I started working with healers, massage therapists. I was a master of Reiki, so I taught Reiki classes. Mm-hmm. I started the first Reiki group in South Florida. There were a lot of things I was responsible for assisting. Other people took over, which was great because I'm one person. I could only do so much at a time. So then when my son's diagnosed schizophrenic, I thought, I don't know anything about that disease. What am I supposed to do? How do I handle it? So I found myself in school at the age of 42. I wound up, studying and becoming a primary counselor at a place called Turning Point Bridge. And anybody that lives in Florida knows that name, and they know Spectrum, and they know House of Hope, which became known as House of Dope. It's just different things began to occur in my life. I have no tolerance for how people try and use, well, that's a different story, I'll wait on that. But anyway, the man I kept drawing, the man I kept, having these visions of, my first night on the radio, the little woman in the box, okay, she's told she's live on the radio. Well, I didn't say anything for about 5 minutes. So my girlfriend calls me, right? She says, Karen, you're on the air. Talk! And I'm laughing. I burst out laughing. And the next thing I know, I go, folks, you get what you get here, but I'm really good at what I do. I do it through the grace of God, and I'm telling you, he's a great friend to have, but don't look at it as a religious God, because that's going to stop you from growing. And so it's very, very fascinating how life took effect. So my very first caller on the radio, I'm talking to him, and I says, well, hello. I said, you're married, you're going through a divorce that you don't want. And I said, you call her Kaland. I said, but that's not her name. I said, her name's Mary. Well, the man drops the phone.
This is how detailed Karen is. It's uncanny, but go ahead.
So he makes an appointment through the the technician at the radio station to come and see me, because I would take bookings and, charge for my time. I do not charge for the energy. I charge for my time.
That's fair.
So he comes out. He's clean shaven. So I don't recognize him. And I'm talking to him, and I realize it's the man I talked to on the phone that dropped his phone. And I tell him more, and I'm very, very direct, very explicit. And he kept asking me, how the hell do you know the stuff you know? And I would look at him and I'd say, I don't know.
I just know.
I just know. So, no is a no. So that's how it became with me. And I became known as the psychic with heart, because I don't limit the time I talk to people. If they really need help, I'm there to help. If I'm busy, I will say I am busy. We all have that right to do that. So, but life is fun. So the second time, he makes a second appointment to come see me, and he calls and he tells me he's going to be delayed. Could he reschedule for a couple days later? So I told him fine. So he comes out, and he walks in, and I took one look at him and I started pushing him towards the door. And he's looking at me like, what's the matter with her? And it's like, oh no, Lord, what are you doing to me? This is the man I've been painting, drawing, everything for at least 3 years. And my husband, thinks I'm having an affair with some guy in Florida, because I was still married when I meet this man. My husband was supposed to join me, but of course he didn't. And as I get to know Thomas better, my life changed. He was a master mariner. He'd done so many things in life that he was a man that knew how to live life.
Thomas has a zest for life. Yeah.
And it doesn't stop, and he's absolutely wonderful with it. And I was a little woman afraid to do anything because of what had happened in my life. And then all of a sudden here I am, this megastar. And people got wind of me. This is where I was there, like I said, a month, won all that money, put it in the bank. All of a sudden I got a phone call out of nowhere, and it's Oprah. And so I wound up talking to Oprah. I did not want to be that known, so I denied some things she offered. And the next thing I know, I'm telling her, I said, there's going to be a woman. She goes by the name of Miss Cleo, and she will give psychics a bad name.
Was she from Florida, Miss
She
Cleo?
was from Florida. So it wasn't too much longer. That is exactly what happened. So instead of doing my psychicness on the out, I began to do it a little more quieter. And that's when I started my Reiki classes. I started teaching people how to do regressions, massage work, dealing with the White Brotherhood.
I wanted to talk about that. Your Reiki sessions, your healing sessions are unique in that you work with the assistance of what is called the White Brotherhood of Light.
It's the White Brotherhood, what I term it. They have no physical bodies. They are pure white light. And when they come in, you will actually feel like you've got hands on your body. And so, I was given, during one of my NDEs, 72 prayers, which later became 172. I use those prayers constantly. They open up these doorways. And, there's a lot of people believe in ETs. They might think I'm dealing with ETs. I'm dealing with consciousness.
Yeah.
And you know it, you become it, you sense it. But again, that's another story for later.
The White Brotherhood of Light, are they angels, ascended masters, both?
You will know an ascended master. One of the ascended masters, of course, is Saint Germain. When I first mentally conversed with Saint Germain, it was uplifting, more than I can even begin to describe. it would often be where he would take the look of an old man, white beard, the whole 9 yards, that you felt safe with.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would glitter. I don't know how else to word it, but the energy would take a glow to it. And that is something that until you experience, you can only listen to what somebody
Right.
else says. And, I know we're prove it to me people. So a lot of people want proof that this has happened, this has been done, this has been said, whatever it is. I have testimonials. I have doctors that I call by first name. I have talked to doctors from Brazil, Peru, China. I am not physically a doctor myself, but a doctor of humanity is the way I would term it. And it's loving them, but yet making them face what they don't want to face about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because forgiveness of self must take place in order for you to reap the total benefits of manifestation.
That's true, and I'm realizing that more and more. And getting to spend this time with you in your home, and it's so nice. I can't put into words. To be able to find yourself and find your way, and then allow the universal flow and intelligence to come in and do what it does, and not stand in your way or its way, and things happen in ways you didn't even expect, but it's more than you could have imagined for yourself.
One of the prime examples to that is we talk about the now, but human beings don't actually believe in the now. They look for reasons for their things that have happened to them by searching the past.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're afraid to take a step forward because they don't know their future.
Mm-hmm.
Living on that wing and a prayer is very difficult. And it's not something, it's something that you can easily obtain, because I tell people all the time, they'll come to me and they'll say, well, things that happen in God's time. And I have to laugh because I ask them, well, do you believe that all there is now? And if they tell me yes, then I say to them, well, then tell me when God's time is. Is it now? Or is it later? Or is it past? Or is it future? God's time is now, because
Mm-hmm.
your time is now. And in these death experiences, I became aware of everything happening at once.
Mm-hmm.
Dimensions are created by man. Heavens are created by man. Hells are created by man. Man co-creates with the creative flow of the universe and life itself through thought.
Beautiful and powerful. That's a good place to leave this clip, but I want to talk about a fun story. One of your predictions that came true. You knew a lady named Jennifer. She was going through a divorce at the time, I think, but you told her you're going to meet a man named Matt, and you knew his last name, but you wouldn't tell Jennifer because you didn't want
I didn't want her to be looking for that particular man.
yeah.
So, sometimes you just got to allow life to happen. But I told her, there's coffee involved. I didn't understand. I just put it out the way it came to me. And I said, you'll understand when it happens. And I said, until that point, nothing's going to change. I said, you will marry this man, and you will not stay in the U.S. So she is now married to a Matt. She lives in Germany.
Because he
I
was
love it.
in the army.
He's in the service.
Yeah.
He's military person, and I can't go into a lot of detail with that because of his background.
Mm-hmm.
But then she calls me out of the blue because I told her, I said, you're going to have trouble with your ex-husband still.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you'll get past it. So the ex-husband doesn't want her happy. So he's using their children against her. And, I know she will come through it. And some of the things I've seen posted on Facebook by her are very uplifting.
Good.
So she's thinking a lot more positive about a lot of things. And she's seen some of her needs and wants and desires being answered. So
I think the fun part was you told her, Matt, coffee will be involved and you will not live in the U.S. afterwards were some of the highlights. And so she was at like what, a Starbucks maybe a year later after she talked to you. She stopped at Starbucks. Go ahead and turn right smack into a guy.
No, he was in front of her and his back's to her. And then he turns around to walk out with his coffee and he winds up spilling it all over her. She's got this hot coffee on her. He's wiping it down, and he's apologizing. And she thinks to herself, coffee? Your name wouldn't be Matt, would it? And he says, yeah, my name's Matt. How do you know? And from there, the rest is history.
Then it's happily ever after in Germany.
Yep. And she sent me some beautiful pictures of Germany, let me tell you. Castles, the whole 9 yards.
So it really was a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Castle
it's
and
a fairy
everything.
tale.
I love it. So if so Karen, you're available to talk to people. Do you want to on Facebook they can find more information at Karen Shoemaker, 1 medium rare, and your phone number again?
Is 513-748-0816.
And your email address?
My email is lady, L-A-D-Y-I, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, A-T-E 23 at gmail.com.
LadyAnnate23@gmail.com. There's so much to cover. If you have specific questions that you want Karen to answer or speak on, feel free to leave us a message on Facebook or text or just regular email or even in the comment section, and we'd love to discuss any and all topics. We'll get to them slowly but surely. The near-death experience itself, what's on the other side of the veil, channeling angels, soulmates, karma, law of attraction, just on and on.
You've got to understand, I used to believe in soulmates. Well, now I don't believe in soulmates. There is only one soulmate, and that's you and your counterpart, you.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. We'll get into that.
So, I just like signing off with love y'all.
Thank you for watching, and we will continue this conversation soon. Have a good day.